Okay, so good day to everyone. So again, I am Ma'am Kathleen K.S. Erispe from Mariveles National High School, Batangas Dos. So now we are on the quarter 3, module 3 of Science 7. So our topic will be waves as carriers of energy. So before we begin, let us read the objectives. First, at the end of the lesson, we have to infer that waves carry energy and describe the characteristics of sounds using the concept of wavelength, velocity, and amplitude. So, our topic is all about waves that carries energy. So, before we explain the waves, let us first discuss what is energy. So, in physics, we define energy as the ability or capacity to do work. As per the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. However, it can be changed from one form to another. So that is the general definition of energy. So yung energy, it is the capacity to do work. So it also has the capacity to make an object in motion, no? Kasi 'di ba energy nga. So okay. So for us to easily understand energy, here are some examples. So we have first the potential energy and the kinetic energy. So they are different in a way na yung potential energy, it is the energy that is possessed by matter while at rest or habang siya ay nakahinto lamang. Okay? So example is the gravity, yan, potential energy po siya. Then, the next one is the kinetic energy. So, energy naman po ito na makakikitaan natin siya ng motion. So, it is the energy in motion. Then, next is the forms of energy in physics. So, we have different types of energy. We have the mechanical energy, just like what is shown in the first picture, no? Mechanical, gumagalaw. The next is the heat energy, the energy found in high temperature objects. Then light energy, the energy coming from the sun, from the light, etc. And then chemical energy, the energy stored in batteries. Then sound energy, which is produced by vibrations, which will be discussed later on in our lesson. And then magnetic energy, the energy that is possessed by magnets. Next is the electrical energy, the energy that results from movement of electrons, and then atomic energy. So, ito yung mga nasa nuclear power plant. So, you already have the idea on what energy is. So, let us now move on. So, ano nga ba yung wave? So, according to Khan Academy, a wave is a vibration propagating through space, usually transferring energy. So, nagtatransfer po siya ng energy through vibrations. So, let us further discuss wave. So, there are two types of waves based on the direction of propagation. The first one is the transverse wave. Pag sinabi nating transverse wave, the particles are displaced perpendicular to the direction of the wave travels. So, according to the first picture, no, yung movement ng hand ng babae is upward and downwards. But you can see the movement of the wave going in separate way. So, papunta siya doon sa kanan. So, pag sinabi kasi natin perpendicular, ito yung parang pati, okay? Sa math, yun, pati siya sa geometry. Okay, next is the longitudinal wave. So, sa longitudinal wave naman, parallel po yung movement noong wave doon sa movement ng wave doon sa pinanggagalingan po noong energy. So, kagaya po ng nakikita ninyo dito. So, on these pictures, you will see what happens really on a transverse wave and longitudinal wave. So take note of the movement of the transverse wave and the longitudinal wave. So, examples of transverse wave ay yung ripples of water. Once na ikaw ay nagpatak ng water doon sa kapwa niya water, so nagkakaroon po siya ng ripple effect. So, that is an example of transverse wave. Another example is the slinky. Kung kayo ay naglalaro nito noong bata pa kayo, yung slinky po na ito, yung spiral siya na laruan. So, that also exhibits transverse wave. Then, the next one is the longitudinal wave. So, kuha kayo ng rope or kung nakakita na kayo ng naglalaro ng rope or ng tali, then kapag ka pinaalo niya po yung tali na yon, so, yung movement po noong particles or noong matter, noong nagkaroon ng wave, so that is an example also of a longitudinal wave. So, in a transverse wave, meron po tayo ditong makikita compressions and rarefactions, which will also be discussed later on in our lesson. Then, okay, so I have here an example, the water waves. Can you determine what type of wave is exhibited in the water waves? Okay. So, yung na-exhibit po na type of wave dito is both transverse and longitudinal. So, as you can see, they are moving perpendicular and also, they are also moving parallel to each other. Okay? So, paikot-ikot lang po ang particles doon sa water waves. That's why transverse and longitudinal yung wave na napapakita niya. So, how do we identify the parts of a wave? So, sa transverse wave, again, sa transverse wave, the particles of a medium moves perpendicularly to the direction of the wave. Okay? So, here we have, kuha tayo ng pen. Okay. So, we have the uppermost part of the wave, which we call the crest. And then, the lowest part of a wave is what we call the trough. Okay? So, ang ating amplitude naman, it is the distance from the origin of the wave up to the crest. Ne? O kaya naman ay from the origin up to the lowest part, which is yung trough. The next is the wavelength. That is the distance between two successive crests, just like what is shown in this picture. Or pwede rin naman itong successive, or pwede rin naman itong distance between two successive troughs. So, that is what we call wavelength. So, that is the part of a transverse wave. Dito naman sa longitudinal wave natin, since ang movement po na pinapakita kanina, para siyang nagbubungguan or what. So, ang tawag po natin doon ay compression. So, yung compression po na yon, so, ito yon yung part ng wave kung saan para silang nagsasama-sama yung particles. Then, yung expansion, this is also what we call the rarefactions. Yung sinasabi ko kanina na rarefactions, yan po yung part ng wave kung saan hindi sila masyadong magkakalapit yung particles or medyo parang relax lang. Ganyan. Then, also, meron din tayong wavelength. Yung wavelength natin, it is the distance between two compressions. So, iyan siya. Okay? Two compressions. Okay? So, kailangan ma-identify natin ano yung dalawang compression. So, example nga ng... So, hindi pala tayo makakapagpakita ng example. Okay, next. So, how do we describe wave? So, ito na tayo. Kanina, nabanggit ko na sa inyo yung crest. Pag sinabi natin crest, it is the high point of the wave. The highest point in a wave is what we call crest. Ito yon. Then next is the troughs. It is the low point of a wave or the lowest point in a wave. Okay. So, ito yung trough. Then next is the amplitude. It is the maximum distance or it is the height of the wave. So, how are you going to identify the height of the wave? Mula doon sa kanyang point of origin, o kaya dito, yan. So, yan. Yung balance lang. Papunta doon sa kanyang pinakamataas na reach. Okay? That is the amplitude. The next one is the wavelength. It is used to measure the distance of a particular point on one wave to next wave having the same point. It is also measured in meters and having a symbol of lambda. So, it is also measured in meters kasi nga po, we are pertaining to distance, no? Distance. Pero pwede rin naman itong maging kilometers, centimeters, basta ganon. So, yung units of distance, that is also used for wavelength. Then, the symbol that we use for it is lambda. So, ang basa natin dito sa symbol na to is lambda. So, yung formula po natin in order for us to find the wavelength is velocity or the velocity of the wave divided by its frequency. So, ano nga ba yung frequency? So, the symbol that we use for frequency is F. So, ang ating pong unit na ginagamit for frequency is hertz. So, ito po yung mga naririnig natin from radios like 101.9, 90.7, 97.1. So, yung frequency po nila na yun, that is the hertz. Okay? So, the definition of frequency is the total number of waves passing every second. So, in 1 second, ilang waves or ilang successive crests and troughs yung dumaan. Okay? So, that is the frequency. So, yung ating pong formula na ginagamit for frequency is number of cycles per time or second. So, that is the frequency. So, let us answer this problem. So, let me read it first. A wave has a frequency of 4 hertz and a length of 2 meters between two wave crests. Solve for the speed of the wave. So, yung gagamitin nating formula dito is yung formula natin kanina for wavelength, which is lambda is equal to velocity divided by frequency. So, pag dinerive natin siya, we will get velocity is equal to F or the frequency multiplied by lambda. So, our given for the frequency is 4 hertz. So, 4 hertz multiplied by the wavelength, which is 2 meters. So, 4 hertz multiplied by 2 meters is equal to 8 meters per second. So, that is our answer. So, the next thing that we have to discuss in order to describe wave is the period. So, the period has a symbol T. So, malaking T po siya. It is simply the time taken to create one complete wave. Below is the formula that's being used for period. So, T is equal to 1 over F. So, simple lang yun. Kinocompute lang kung ano yung kinocompute lang po natin yung oras na kinailangan para magkaroon tayo ng isang successive na crest at saka na trough. So, kailangan lang may isang crest at isang trough para masabi natin na may wave. So, that is period. Then, the next one is the speed of the wave. So, we use the symbol V for its speed. Then, it is defined as the distance moved by a wave in 1 second. Since the wave crest travels in a distance of 1 wavelength in 1 period, then the wave speed is V is equal to frequency multiplied by wavelength. So, let us move on to the types of waves based on how they propagate. Yung kanina kasi on how It depends upon the direction of the movement of the wave. So, ngayon po, how they propagate. Paano po sila gumagalaw or anong kinakailangan nila para gumalaw. So, isa sa mga kailangan nating matandaan is the medium. Pag sinabi nating medium, this is the material through which waves can travel. It can be a solid, liquid, or gas. So, dito po dumadaan yung waves. So, let us proceed to the two types of waves depending on how they propagate. First one is the mechanical wave. Pag sinabi nating mechanical wave, it requires a medium to travel. Kailangan po niya ng solid, liquid, or gas. Yun siya. So, paano siya gumagalaw? It can be longitudinal, it can be compressional, or it could also be transverse wave. So, alin dun sa dalawa kaninang in-explain natin, pwede siyang maging ganon. Then, examples natin is the sound wave. Yung sound wave po natin, it needs solid, liquid, and gas for us to hear the sound. Then, next is the seismic waves. Saan dumadaan ang seismic waves? Yung earthquake. So, dumadaan siya pwedeng sa liquid o kaya naman ay sa solid. Then, the next one is ropes and springs. So, ito, solids din to. Then, the water waves, it needs water for it to propagate. So, the next one is the electromagnetic wave. So, when we say electromagnetic wave, it does not require a medium to travel. Unlike the mechanical wave. So, opposite sila, no? So, anong kanyang dinadaanan para po siya ay makapag-propagate? It only needs vacuum. No? So, let me emphasize, it does not require. Pero, pwede pa din po siyang mag-pass through sa solid, liquid, or gas. Okay? So, hindi niya kinakailangan, pero kaya niya. Kaya niya pong mag-travel sa solid, liquid, and gas. So, how does it move? Transverse. So, transverse meaning perpendicular to the direction. So, next is the example. So, example po na electromagnetic wave is yung light. So, we have different types of electromagnetic waves. So, it is um, arranged in a spectrum. So, ang tawag natin dito is electromagnetic spectrum. It starts from the radio wave, microwave, papunta sa microwave, then hanggang sa naging infrared, visible light, ultraviolet light, X-ray, and gamma ray. So, these are the waves that are included in the electromagnetic spectrum. So, as you can see po, nagsimula siya sa mataas na wavelength, then paliit ng paliit yung kanyang wavelength. And take note, kapag mataas ang wavelength or pag mahaba ang wavelength, it also means that mababa din ang energy na dala-dala po nito. So, si radio wave, siya yung may pinakamababang energy, pero pinakamataas na wavelength. While si gamma ray, siya naman yung may pinakamataas na energy dala-dala, pero mababa ang kanyang frequency. So, let us move on to sound. So, one of the objectives that we have to achieve is the characteristics of, we have to know or we have to learn about the characteristics or properties of sound. So, ano nga ba ang sound? Sound is a vibration that propagates as an acoustic wave through transmission medium such as gas, liquid, or solid. So, yung link po ng ating sound waves, you can search it on YouTube. I will also put it in the description box below. So, pakiclick nyo na lang po siya in order for you to watch the properties of sound waves. So, that is all for today. Thank you and God bless.